If you've ever heard of the Resilience Project, a group that's making big strides in Australia's mental health, or if you've ever used the popular mental health app Smiling Mind, then you've crossed paths with the work of Lucy Richards. Lucy's a multi-talented woman with a passion for health and technology. She helps tech startups to get going, she helps health organisations to innovate, and she works at a high level with the likes of the United Nations and the World Health Assembly. And it's all to make a difference in people's health on a global scale. To tell us more about her work, Lucy joins me now. Lucy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for the generous introduction, Claire. Thanks for having me.
I've just mentioned a couple of the places that you worked, Lucy, but your resume in the area of health innovation covers so much more. Let's start at the beginning. How did you first get started in helping entrepreneurs in the area of health?
I think maybe perhaps why many stories start, and it was a bit by accident and a bit by following my intuition or the things that interest me. I think that being a human, knowing that mental health is so important to people at an everyday level, it was something that I thought that it was so important to support us in everyday living.
Up until last year, you were working with the Resilience Project. That's an amazing organisation. Tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, the Resilience Project, I think, is so amazing at reaching people on a mainstream level and introducing very accessible, empowering health concepts. They focus on gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness, and then moving into connection and living with purpose, and they're really able to meet people where they're at on their health journey, and also meet like the demands and the change of society with everything that's happened with COVID. They've been really able to innovate, use technology as a force for good. And also what I really admire about them and loved working with them was that they work at such a grassroots level with schools and teachers, but then that spans like into sporting organizations, and also into the corporate world and the workplace, because as I said before, like everyone is a human, everyone has a mind, everyone has health. And so being able to reach people at such a scale is so amazing and important.
Some years ago, you also worked with the mental health app Smiling Mind, and you've worked on a number of other apps. Tell me about some of the other tech startups that you've worked on.
Yes, Smiling Mind was a big one. When we first built the app, we didn't build an Android version of the app because Android apps didn't exist. So it was very much at the time a kind of strange thing to be going into, of like meditation wasn't very popular in the mainstream. Neither was apps, or a new thing. And so being able to sort of behavior change and mindset change on multiple levels, even mental health was still reasonably stigmatized. And so it was sort of, I don't want to say fighting battles, but asking people to learn new behaviors and mindsets on many different aspects. And then that has been a theme that's continued a lot throughout my career. I worked over in America with peer learning and technology that allowed people to come together and learn in like deeper, meaningful ways. It was called Circles, the idea that we learn better in circles and not rows in like that traditional classroom setting. Yeah, so I can, as I'm talking now, I see that a theme is to asking people to think a little bit differently about the way they might have looked after themselves or their health, or learnt about the world.
And why technology? Why are you such a tech junkie, and why the use of apps to help people?
Good question. And I could also, like, I think I've made this joke before, that like every day I think about throwing my phone, like putting it down the toilet or somewhere. Like there's part of me that really struggles with technology, the hold that it has on me, like the addiction that I feel to notifications. Sometimes when I'm lying in bed, the first thing I think about in the morning is checking my phone, and I think, wow, is that really how I want to live my life? so for me, like knowing that hasn't such an impact on me, and assuming that it does for many other people too, I thought, okay, how can we use technology for good, as a force for good and not evil? And knowing that it's a very wild world out there in the wide world web, but how can we create safe spaces, positive tools, and use it to integrate into people's lives in a way that feels meaningful and ethical?
That's awesome. Tell me about your work with NCD Free. You were heading up that organisation recently.
Yeah, so NCD Free is an amazing nonprofit. It brings together young people from around the world, and teaches them health advocacy skills. So the idea was that a lot of people who work in the health sector, they know their message so well. They know a lot of like the science and the research and the depth around it, but it's not always communicated that well outside of the health industry. And so it was about working with those health professionals to support them to be able to advocate for like the amazing knowledge and skills that they have, and being able to communicate it to people beyond their initial health circles, which really I think links into a bit about what My Care Channel is doing in spreading positive health messages and making it accessible for people to understand them.
That's wonderful. Before we finish, I'd love to just hear a little about your latest work with the School for Social Change.
Yeah, so that's an exciting new project that I am starting. And similarly, I think it combines all of the skills and experience that I've mentioned. But similarly, it's about shifting people's mindsets to think differently about themselves and the world around them. I believe that, especially through the pandemic, but this has been coming for a long time, that people, I notice, are starting to feel a need to feel connected with themselves, connected with their communities, and connected with their broader environment, including the actual environment. And so the School for Social Change takes people on that journey of self-reflection, knowing their own personal story and how to share that, and then how that can lead them to contribute to something greater than themselves in their community, or to the environment, or the social causes that they're passionate about.
Lucy, it's been great to talk. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks so much, Claire. Thanks for having me.
To learn more about what Lucy talked about in this interview, head to mycarechannel.org.au.
There are things we can do and things we can't. Sometimes we need just a little bit of help, and sometimes quite a lot. Whatever your need as a person living with a disability, My Care Channel can put you in touch with the people who can assist. You don't need to navigate the process alone. Just call us on 1300 461 300 or visit mycarechannel.org.au, and we'll start you on the journey of a life lived to the best of your ability.